Have you noticed that the things that used to bring you joy just don't anymore? And maybe you've also noticed that your attention span is getting smaller and your motivation to actually start doing something is getting less and less. Well, if you are feeling that way, I want you to know you are not alone. I would say in the last 5 years, I have noticed that dramatic decline in myself as well. And until now, I've just kind of chalk that up to having ADHD, and this is just the experience of it. But it turns out that is not the full picture, and there's a scientific reason for it. We are all struggling with diminishing dopamine levels. And here's the thing, if you have ADHD, it is so important that you're aware of this and actively managing your dopamine levels, because as it turns out, ADHDers have naturally lower baseline levels of dopamine to begin with. So it's that much harder for us to focus and generate motivation to do things and actually feel the benefit of doing things, which is why everything feels so joyless and just meh these days. And the scary and sad part is that this dopamine drain is happening because of our natural day-to-day lifestyles these days, which is filled with notifications and social media and constantly looking at your phone and gaming and vaping and porn and all of the things that have become such a big part of our day-to-day life. And unfortunately, it's having a much bigger impact than just our shrinking attention span. It's also making us miserable. And I don't know about you, but I am not down for that. So today I'm going to share with you exactly how you can fix this. And the best part is that they're all very practical, doable, and won't take very much time. And in most cases, they will actually give you time back. I'll explain to you how your morning routine is probably self-sabotaging you and what to do instead. And I'll walk you through some very simple tweaks that you can start implementing today. But if you're new here, welcome. My name is Karen McGill. I'm an ADHD coach and creator, and I'm here for the busy, ambitious brains who want to do all the things, but they lack dopamine until today. So let's get into it. So here's the skinny on dopamine in case this is the first time you're hearing about it. It's a neurotransmitter that governs our focus, motivation, and our sense of reward. That sense of pleasure we get from doing something that makes it easier to do it again in the future. So obviously, it's really important to manage dopamine levels and make sure that we have enough of it. However, the way we generate it is really important. Let me explain. So let's think of dopamine in two different ways. There's the quick spike followed by the deep crash, and then you ping pong throughout the day. And then there's also sustainable dopamine, the one that doesn't crash immediately, but will carry you throughout the day so that you can actually function like a normal human being, get things done, and then feel that sense of reward at the end of it. So you can almost think about this in the context of what you eat. If you eat a lot of sugar, your energy is going to be like this. And of course, sugar does impact dopamine levels, interestingly enough. Or you can focus on vegetables and protein and healthy fat where you have sustained energy throughout the day. So obviously, we want to have as much as the healthy, whole food, sustainable dopamine as we can possibly get and avoid the sugar dopamine. And what is the sugar-based dopamine? It's basically our entire lifestyle these days. It's waking up and immediately picking up your phone, scrolling Instagram, Twitter, email, then going into the kitchen and immediately having caffeine, which then again spikes your dopamine, and having a sugary breakfast, which again spikes your dopamine. Then not going outside, not connecting with other people, staring at your screens all day, well into the night, not moving enough, and then eventually rinse, repeat. So these are the behaviors that is spiking and draining our dopamine so much. And we wonder why we have a crisis around young people today. And it's because they're growing up staring at their screens or gaming all day, and they're not getting enough interaction with other people. They're not getting outside enough. And this is causing this dopamine crisis in our society. So what do we do to create this natural, sustainable dopamine in our lives? Turns out everything your mother was nagging you to do was actually the right things to do in order to improve your dopamine levels. So let's start off with what to do in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, your dopamine levels are naturally at their highest. So the last thing you want to do is roll over and pick up your phone, start scrolling, and completely dysregulate your dopamine levels. Same with caffeine and sugar. This is why Andrew Huberman's telling everybody to wait 90 minutes before you have your cup of coffee in the morning. It's because you want to give your body the ability to self-regulate dopamine in a sustainable way so it'll take you throughout the entire day. So one small but really effective change that I made personally was moving my power charger for my phone out of my bedroom and into my office, which means I wake up, I still have my coffee. I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm in bed having my coffee and I'm journaling. And usually what I would do after I journal for about 5 minutes is pick up my phone. Then all of a sudden, 30 minutes later, I'm still in bed, my coffee cup's empty, and I haven't started my day yet. Now I journal with my coffee. And then once that's done, I no longer have a reason to stay in bed anymore. So I get get up, I get dressed, I actually start working out faster. And just starting today, I went outside because it was sunny and I just looked at the sun for about 5 minutes. I don't know if I felt a difference, but apparently when you get morning sun, it also helps to regulate your dopamine levels. And then I will come into my office. I will either turn on my computer, I might look at my phone, but I've been up for about an hour at this point. And oh my gosh, it makes the day so much more productive. I had no idea how much time I was wasting scrolling first thing in the morning. So that one little tweak has made the world of difference. And then throughout the day, there's a bunch of different things that you can do to manage your dopamine levels. A lot of them I'm already doing, like working out, at least 20 minutes of cardio, yoga, whatever it is you like to do to work out. If you can do it for at least 20 minutes, it's going to get blood flow to the brain. It's going to help you regulate your dopamine levels, and it's just going to make you feel a lot better and more alert. Obviously, reducing actual screen time is going to be super helpful, but here's something else I've done recently. I used to listen to podcasts constantly. If I wasn't like working on something, if I was cleaning or walking or driving or anything, I was always listening to podcasts, always trying to learn, and I was always doing it at 2x. And what I started to notice is that I had less patience for actual conversations with human beings. I wouldn't want to get on the phone with friends as much anymore. Even talking to my husband, I was always like, get to the point, not in a rude way, but in my mind, I was thinking that. And I realized that it's because of my obsession with all of these podcasts and listening to them at high speed to get to the point and get on to the next one that much faster. And when I stopped doing that, like now I'll only listen to podcasts when I'm working out. But if I'm just moving around the house or cooking or anything like that, I'm just letting my brain be. And I realized that not only am I feeling a bit calmer, but I'm more engaged in actual conversation, which was really starting to freak me out. So if you are someone who's listening to a lot of podcasts all the time, I would highly recommend giving your brain some white space. And to that end, one other powerful thing you can do every day is to go outside without headphones, without your phone, and go for a walk. 5, 10, 20 minutes, however long you can. Give your brain the ability to process thoughts and emotions outdoors in nature like we were programmed to do. And 9 times out of 10, you come back with the solution to a problem that has been driving you crazy, or you're able to get past a rumination or anything else that's in your mind that you can't seem to resolve. Walking outside without listening to anything is an absolute game changer. I think the Gen Z crowd came up with this one. They call it like the silent walk or the hot girl walk. I don't care what they call it. It really does work. And then of course, getting to bed at a decent time and exposing your eyeballs to the darkness as opposed to having all the lights on and staring at screens is going to have an enormous impact on your quality of sleep, which is then going to improve your dopamine levels when you wake up the next day. So those are just a few small behaviors you can do to move yourself away from this snackable dopamine. And some of them take no time, and some of them will actually give you back time as you spend less time on your phone. So I'm curious to know, does this hit home for you? And are you willing to at least make some small changes now that you know the impact it has, not only on your attention span and your focus and your motivation, but also that ability to enjoy the things that used to give you joy? If that's something that you have noticed, try making these small tweaks and see if it has any impact on your sense of enjoyment. It's probably not going to happen immediately, but do it as an experiment and see where you end up. You have nothing to lose and only something to gain. And on that note, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.